Hey, what's up guys? It's Jonathan and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're actually going to be taking a look at the newly released Galaxy S6 Active, which is actually an AT&T exclusive. We're going to be doing a quick unboxing and then I'm going to give you my overall first impressions and what I think about the Galaxy S6 Active. There will be a full review coming soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So the packaging of the S6 Active is just like the S6 and any other AT&T phone that you buy. Very plain, and if you're all about presentation, this is not going to appeal to you whatsoever. But ultimately, it's about what's inside the box. So if we pop off the lid and take a look inside, the very first thing you're greeted with is the S6 Active. Now this does come in 3 different colors. You can get a white camo, a blue camo, and then the matte black. And I do have the matte black version because I think that's just the better looking one out of the 3. Go ahead and popping up the tray, you're gonna see some Samsung information, which is actually an AT&T pamphlet, just an overview of the added features for the S6 Active. Underneath that, you're gonna find some health, safety, and warranty information. A very thick book. We're not gonna take a look at it. Go ahead and set it to the side. And then you're gonna find a little pamphlet explaining about Milk Music and Milk Video. Lastly, you're gonna find your USB to micro USB charging cable and then your quick or rapid charging wall adapter. You do not get headphones with the purchase of the S6 Active. So we'll go ahead and do a quick tour around the device before we do anything else. On the right hand side, you're gonna find your power button and then your SIM card tray. And what's unique about the S6 Active is the fact that it doesn't need a SIM card ejection tool to pop out the tray. Instead, just stick your fingernail in the little slit there and pull it out, and then it exposes the SIM card tray. You can throw your nano SIM card in there, pop it right back in, and then you're good to go. No need for any extra tools or equipment. Now what's unique is the SIM card tray and the power button are actually done like a rubberized material, giving it a little bit more durability in case you drop your phone. Moving on to the left-hand side, you're gonna find your blue active button, which I'll explain in just a little bit about the purpose and then the usefulness of this particular button. And then you're gonna find your volume rocker. Instead of having 2 separate buttons like the S6, you actually have a volume rocker, which resembles more of the old Galaxy devices. Moving on down to the bottom, you're gonna find a microphone and then your micro USB charging port. Moving up top, you're gonna find your 3.5mm headphone jack, which is different than the S6, considering the headphone jack is actually on the bottom. And then you're gonna find another microphone and then your IR blaster. Flipping the S6 Active over, you're gonna find the same 16 megapixel camera with the same sensor and f1.8 aperture with OIS that you would find on the S6, as well as your LED flash and your heart rate monitor. But moving on down to the bottom, you're gonna find a speaker cutout. So yes, the speaker has been moved from the bottom on the S6 to the back of the S6 Active, which is annoying. Flipping the phone over to the front on the bottom, you're gonna find 3 hard keys instead of 2 soft keys, which is found on the S6. You actually have a hard key for your multitask or background app switcher, as well as your home button and then your back button. None of them light up and you don't get a fingerprint scanner, so if security is a thing for you, then you might want to look at the S6. However, it does not bother me whatsoever. Moving up to the top of the front of the phone, you're going to find your LED notification light, your proximity and ambient light sensors, your speaker grill, and then your same 5 megapixel camera that you would find on the S6. The only difference here is that the sensors are switched from the opposite side as the S6. So you're gonna find the proximity and ambient light sensors on the left-hand side versus the S6 Active, which is on the right-hand side. So the S6 Active has the same exact 5.1-inch Super AMOLED Quad HD display that is found on the S6, so you're still gonna get great viewing angles, great outdoor viewing, and great color reproduction. It's literally the same exact display. So if you're familiar with the one on the S6, then you know that this is one of the best-in-class displays on a mobile phone. In terms of internals, you're looking at the same exact octa-core Exynos chipset with 3 GB of RAM and the same graphics processor. So again, you're getting all of the same internals as the S6. So when it comes to responsiveness and fluidity, you can expect the same results with this phone as you can with the S6, which is very responsive and by far one of the best phones Samsung has made to date. Except for the Note 4, which is pretty much in its own class, the S6 shines and is just a very, very superb phone. And if you guys missed my full review on the S6, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. And that is probably my favorite Android smartphone on the market to date. But there's one area where the S6 got me, and that was battery life. I hated the battery life on the S6. It had a 2350 milliamp hour battery, which was terrible. And honestly, it didn't even get me through a full day. Well, here comes the S6 Active, and the S6 Active has a 3500 milliamp hour battery. So in my eyes, it's pretty much a perfected S6. It's more ruggedized, it's waterproof, it's shockproof, and it's drop-proof. Even though Samsung doesn't label it as waterproof, they label it as water resistant. It can survive 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. So to me, that is waterproof. You can take underwater photos, you can bring it in the shower with you, you can answer phone calls in the rain, and you don't have to worry about any damage. In fact, even though Samsung doesn't advertise it as being waterproof, instead it's water resistant, if you go into the camera and then go under modes, there's actually a mode specific for the Galaxy S6 Active, and it's called Aqua Mode. Now what Aqua Mode does is it allows you to take underwater photos. You see, since the display cannot be used while you're underwater because it's a capacitive display, you actually get the ability to snap a picture using the active button or start recording video using the volume rocker. So it gives you that flexibility and the ability to use your phone underwater, whether you're taking video or snapping photos, without ever having to touch the display. In fact, you can even just double click the home button, launch your camera, and boom, you never touch your display once, and you're getting those great underwater shots. So if you go into the settings portion of the S6 Active, it's literally exactly the same thing as the S6, except you have settings for the activity button. Now the activity button is that little blue button on the left-hand side of the S6 Active that I covered in the beginning when we did a quick tour around the device. You're going to find that coming straight out of the box. If you just click it once, it's going to launch Activity Zone. And that gives you access to your compass, your barometer, your flashlight, different things that you would use if you had an active lifestyle. In fact, if you look on the bottom, you have different things like walking, running, lifting weights. And if you click on one of those activities, it's going to give you a music station from Milk Music suitable for that specific activity. So it's kind of cool. Next, you're going to find that if you hold it down instead of clicking it, it's going to launch your music app. But all this can be changed in the settings portion of the device to launch whatever apps that you want. In my case, I'm going to go ahead and set it up to click once to launch Phoenix and then hold it down to launch Rhapsody. So when I'm in my car, I'll hold it down, boom, there's my music. And whenever I want to look at my Twitter feed, I just tap it once and it will pull up even if your display is locked. So outside of its physical design and a few minor software tweaks, the S6 Active is basically exactly the same as the S6. If you go all the way over to the left, you're going to find briefing. All the icons look the same. You're going to get the same fluidity and responsiveness as you would with the S6 on TouchWiz. So pretty much everything is going to be identical. And that's not a bad thing. But to me, the S6 Active is a perfected S6. Even though it's not as gorgeous looking as the S6, it's a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and of course with that beefier battery comes a little bit more weight. However, it's taking all the things that I found wrong with the S6 and making it a better phone. And before you guys bite my head off, let me just explain why. You see, with the S6, it has a glass front and a glass back. It's very slippery in the hand and you're going to need to put a case on it. By the time you throw a case on the S6, it's pretty much the same height, width, and weight now as the S6 Active, which does not need a case. You see, the construction of the S6 Active is done like a polycarbonate rubberized material, making it have a rating of IP68. This means that it's waterproof up to 1.5 meters, it's shockproof for drops, it's dustproof. Overall, it's going to be able to withstand more thrown at this phone than the S6. With that being said, you don't have to put a case on this phone. All you have to do is throw a screen protector on it if you don't want your screen to get scratched, and you're good to go. Next up, I wasn't a fan of the soft keys found on the S6 or previous models. I like the hard keys. I don't need them to light up, I don't need them to do anything fancy, and I don't need a fingerprint sensor. So these hard keys on the bottom work better for me, and plus that light that shines through those soft keys on the S6 does drain a little bit more battery, and I don't have to worry about the battery draining on this phone. And with battery being in mind, the S6 features a 2550 milliamp hour battery. I know I previously said 2350, I had my numbers mistaken, my head was not in the right place. It's a 2550 milliamp hour battery versus a 3500 milliamp hour battery on the S6 Active. Now it's the same phone, same camera, same front facing camera, same internals, same display, just doesn't have a fingerprint sensor, but instead of having a fingerprint sensor, you're getting a larger battery. You're gonna get more out of your phone. So if security is not an issue and you want to have a waterproof phone and you want a bigger battery, the S6 Active, you might want to go ahead and take a look at it. Even though I don't recommend the camouflage colors, the matte black is just fine, and I'm sure they'll release skins later on in the future. Next up, it's awesome to have a phone that's waterproof. I mean, if you think about it, if you have kids, if you have nieces, nephews, or if you go swimming a lot and you go snorkeling, whatever it is you do, and you want to take some awesome underwater photos, the S6 Active and the S6 both have great cameras. The S6 Active being waterproof, now you have a great camera underwater. So you're able to do 4K video underwater as well as snap some quick stills. Lastly, the S6 Active feels great in the hand, at least my first impressions of it. The rubberized material on the sides and the back give you a great grip versus a naked S6. So when it comes to just holding the phone in the hand and worrying about it slipping out, or you fumble your phone in your hand pulling it out of your pocket, The grip on the S6 Active is much better on the S6, even though granted, yes, you'll probably throw a case on your S6 giving it a better grip. I don't have to put a case on this phone and it already comes with a very awesome grip. Now these are all just my first impressions. I will be putting out a full review of this phone. Let me know in the comment section what you guys want to see out of the full review. I do plan on testing this thing out, maybe not particularly drop testing it just yet, but I am going to take some underwater photos, soak it in a hose, put it in a pool, maybe even throw it in a lake, and we'll see what happens. I'll also be testing out the battery life compared to the standard S6, and I'll snap a few photos with the S6 and then compare them to the S6 Active to see if there's any difference in resolution or overall sharpness. So make sure you guys subscribe if you don't want to miss that video. Follow me on all my social media connections so that way you can stay up to date when I release new videos. And of course, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.